In 1984, Japan, a quiet country known for its order and discipline, was suddenly thrown into chaos. It all began with a man in a dark suit, driving a plain delivery truck through the early morning mist. Inside that truck was fear itself. He parked near the Glico candy factory, calmly stepped out, and vanished into the shadows. Moments later, the factory was in flames. That same night, the company's president, Katsuhisa Izaki, was kidnapped from his home by masked men. His wife and children watched helplessly as the car disappeared into the darkness. For days, Japan held its breath. Then, like a ghost, the president was found alive, abandoned, cold but breathing. The police thought it was over. But the nightmare had only begun. Weeks later, a letter arrived at Glico headquarters. Written in crude Japanese with spelling errors that mocked the reader, it said, "Dear police, dear stupid cops, you can catch us. We are the monster with 21 faces." The letter went on to claim responsibility for the kidnapping and the fire. It promised one thing: chaos. What followed was a reign of terror, unlike anything Japan had seen. The monster began threatening to lace Glico candies with deadly poison. Supermarkets pulled products off shelves. Families stopped buying sweets. Children cried when their parents refused to buy them candy. The once beloved Glico brand was collapsing. The police scrambled. Thousands of officers searched, interrogated, and followed every lead. But the monster always seemed one step ahead. Another letter arrived. "To the stupid police, you don't even understand the clues we leave for you. Maybe we should teach you." Every letter dripped with arrogance. Every word was a taunt. Yet every move was calculated, like a chess master playing against amateurs. Then, the monster shifted targets. They began sending threats to other food companies: Morinaga, House Foods, and Marudai Ham. No one was safe. The country was terrified. CEOs begged for mercy. Workers feared losing their jobs. Even the police, once confident and respected, were humiliated. For every promise of peace, another threat came. For every investigation, another dead end. But there was one man who refused to give up: Chief Superintendent Yamamoto. He wasn't famous, nor powerful. In fact, many of his superiors laughed at him. "You'll never catch ghosts," they said. "Just retire quietly." But Yamamoto had a stubborn heart and an unshakable belief in justice. He spent sleepless nights studying the letters, analyzing the handwriting, and listening to recorded calls. One day, during a surveillance operation, a break came. A patrol car spotted a suspicious man near a Morinaga distribution center. The man wore a baseball cap and sunglasses. He had sharp, fox-like eyes that glinted under the fluorescent lights. When approached, he smiled faintly and disappeared into the night. Later, the police recovered security footage of the same man. His movements were deliberate, his face emotionless. The press dubbed him the Fox-Eyed Man. Many believed he was the leader of the monster with 21 faces. But despite nationwide searches, he was never found again. Then came the letter that froze the entire nation. "To the stupid police, you keep chasing our tail. We're going to stop tormenting the food companies. We'll give you a gift instead. Yamamoto, our condolences." That night, Yamamoto was found dead in his car. A gunshot wound to the head. Officially ruled as suicide. But the people knew better. The monster had struck again, not with poison, but with despair. The case was shut down soon after. No arrests, no faces, no justice. But years later, a rumor began to spread. That one of the letters had contained something no one noticed: a hidden code. Inside it, police found a set of numbers that matched coordinates deep within a mountain range outside Kyoto. And in that forest, hikers claimed to have seen an abandoned truck, its rusted shell still bearing the faint logo of Glico. When reporters arrived, they found nothing but silence. No bodies, no letters, just a faint smell of burned sugar in the air. Some say the monster had used that place as a base. Others say it was a warning, a final message: we were always here, watching. To this day, no one knows who they were. The monster with 21 faces disappeared just as mysteriously as they came. No more letters, no more threats. Just an echo that haunted Japan's collective memory. And yet, in 2000, a new anonymous letter was sent to a Tokyo newspaper. It read, "The police still haven't learned. We're still watching. Do you want to play again?" The handwriting was identical, Now the question remains, did the monster with 21 faces ever really vanish? Or did they simply evolve, waiting for the world to forget before striking again? Because monsters never die. They just change their faces. To be continued. The year was 1985. Japan was trying to breathe again after a year of fear. But beneath the calm, a single man sat in a dim Tokyo apartment, surrounded by crumpled newspapers and cigarette smoke. His name was Haruto Kagawa, a former factory worker, dismissed and humiliated by one of the very corporations that the monster with 21 faces had terrorized. He had once been just another invisible man, living quietly, working hard, believing that loyalty would be rewarded. But loyalty meant nothing when the powerful decided you were expendable. When Glico downsized, Haruto was among the forgotten. His wife left. His son stopped calling. His savings vanished. And when he watched the headlines about the monster with 21 faces, something inside him shifted. They were villains to the world, but to Haruto, they were justice. They had done what he always dreamed of doing, making the powerful tremble. But what Haruto didn't know, what no one knew, was that the monster wasn't a single person. It was a network, a faceless group of men who used fear as their currency. And now, they had found him. One evening, as rain streaked the city lights, Haruto found a letter slipped under his door. The envelope was plain. Inside, a single message. "We've seen your anger. We can use it. Join us. Midnight, Shinagawa Station." He hesitated, but curiosity and rage pulled him there. Under the station's flickering lights, he met 3 men in masks. Their leader spoke calmly, his voice low but firm. "You hate them, don't you? The ones who took everything from you. Work for us. Deliver messages. No questions." Haruto agreed. At first, it was simple. Drop letters, make calls, pass packages. But soon, he realized he was no longer helping a cause. He was feeding a monster. A real one. The group had grown reckless. They no longer targeted only corporations. They began planting fear in neighborhoods, leaving poison snacks near schools, threatening local stores, demanding silence or death. It was no longer about revenge. It was about control. Haruto wanted out. But once you joined the monster, there was no escape. One night, he received a new letter, addressed to him. "Haruto, we know you've been talking. One word to the police, and your son will vanish." He froze. They had found his son, now a teenager living miles away. That night, Haruto sat alone, trembling, knowing he had created the very horror that now owned him. Meanwhile, the police had revived their investigation, led by Detective Ayako Mori, a sharp and unrelenting investigator who had trained under the late Superintendent Yamamoto. She was young, brilliant, and driven by the same fire that had killed her mentor. She began tracing letters, phone calls, factory links, until one thread led her straight to Haruto. Surveillance confirmed it. He had been seen near a Morinaga plant right before a new batch of poison candy threats. But something about him didn't fit the profile. He wasn't a monster. He looked broken. Ayako approached him one night in a dark alley outside his apartment. "Mr. Kagawa," she said softly, "you don't have to keep running." Haruto looked up, his eyes hollow. "You think I'm one of them? I think you want out." For the first time in months, someone spoke to him like a human being. Not a tool. Not a threat. A man. Ayako offered him a deal. Help her uncover the real leaders behind the monster, and she'd protect his son. That night, Haruto made his choice. He became an informant. He began feeding Ayako information, coded messages, meeting locations, fragments of names. Each clue pulled them closer to the heart of the network. But the monster was watching. One evening, Haruto was ordered to deliver a letter to a popular supermarket chain. Inside, it was a new kind of threat, one that promised mass poisoning unless 100 million yen was delivered within 48 hours. But this time, Haruto didn't deliver it. He handed it to Ayako. Together, they planned a sting. Police officers surrounded the drop-off site, disguised as delivery workers and commuters. Hidden cameras rolled. The monster's courier was supposed to arrive at midnight. But when the train doors opened, there was no courier. Just a briefcase, left on a bench. Inside, another letter. "Nice try, Haruto. You forgot we always see you first." Then an explosion. A smoke bomb, small but loud enough to cause panic. By the time the air cleared, Haruto was gone. Ayako found him hours later, lying in a field outside Tokyo, barely conscious. "They found me," he whispered. "They're not just men, they're ghosts." Before she could ask what he meant, he pressed a blood-stained note into her hand. It read, "The real monster wears no mask." Haruto slipped into a coma that night. The letter was sent to the crime lab, but the ink contained something strange. Traces of industrial dye used only in one factory. The same factory where the first Glico fire began. Ayako rushed to the location at dawn, only to find it already engulfed in flames. The monster was burning its own history. As firefighters battled the blaze, she saw a silhouette in the smoke. A man in a long coat, his face obscured by the glow. For a split second, she saw them. The same fox-like eyes that haunted Japan's nightmares. The fox-eyed man. Still alive. Still watching. Ayako shouted for her team to surround him. But when the smoke cleared, he was gone. Again. Later that night, Ayako sat beside Haruto's hospital bed, staring at the letter over and over. The real monster wears no mask. What did it mean? Was it a metaphor? A confession? Or a warning? Then, her phone buzzed. A new message. No number. Just text. "Detective Mori, you've seen too much. Turn back now, or your story ends like Yamamoto's." Her heart stopped. The same words that had preceded her mentor's death. She looked at Haruto, unconscious but breathing, and whispered, "I'm not turning back." Because now, it wasn't just about justice. It was personal. And somewhere out there, in the vast darkness of Tokyo's streets, the monster with 21 faces smiled. Because every hero needs a villain.